Good morning. So, welcome to the daily development discussion. First topic we'll take is about the issue of child rights, health and hygiene. That is the menstrual hygiene facility in Indian schools. Supreme Court recently directed the Indian government to devise a uniform policy to ensure menstrual hygiene for school children. The policy should ensure all government-aided and residential school provide adolescent students with free sanitary napkins and access to vending and disposal mechanism. Schools should also be equipped with separate washroom for girl students. Ensure their good hygiene. Absence of menstrual hygiene and awareness drive period of poverty. Lack of access to sanitary products, toilets, wash management, and washing facility and menstrual hygiene education globally is being highlighted right now. And India is lagging behind in almost all the domain. That is, the Supreme Court intervene and direct the government to devise a uniform policy for the entire country. Okay. Studies show period poverty has a ripple effect. Girl students drop out of schools, are pushed into child marriage, and are more likely to experience domestic violence, infection, reproductive illness, malnourishment, and poor mental health. According to UNICEF, meeting the hygiene needs of all adolescent girls is a fundamental issue of human rights, dignity, and public health. So, it should be ensured by the government. This is the direction of the Supreme Court to the central government who declared concrete measures and in declaring uniform policy in this matter. Okay, what does this petition say? The Supreme Court bench responded to a PIL public interest litigation with such direction on two counts. What are the two counts? By the direction of the court is shut by the PIL. The first one is related to okay. Uh, there should be separate government ensure school provide girl student with from class 6 to 12 sanitary pads, and there should be a separate toilet for girl students. These two things need to be ensured. The clear cut petition will find this in the court that two things government ensure school provide the girl students from class 6 to 12 with sanitary pads, and secondly there will be a separate toilet for the girl students. This should also be padded with statewide measure to ensure washroom have clean running water and waste disposal facility. Out of 10.8 lakhs government schools, 15,000 have no toilets and 42,000 lack drinking water. Education Ministry informed in 2021. Basic needs water is lagging in so in 15,000 schools there is no toilet and 42,000 schools lacks in drinking water facility. Okay, so this was the report of the Education Ministry in 2021. According to researchers, except place for changing and disposing of pads hardly available in many rural areas because the schools, government schools are there in large number in rural areas, but the facility to dispose these used pads is not available there. Petition argued investment in social awareness program is needed. Inadequate menstrual hygiene management is a barrier to education because it affects regular attendance of schools by the girls, so affecting their education in the formative years. The Supreme Court nominated the Minister of Family Health and Welfare to coordinate with the Jal Shakti Ministry and Minister of Education to implement policy over 4 weeks. So, as given a time limit of 4 weeks, coordinate with the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Okay, Family Health and Welfare to coordinate with the Jal Shakti Ministry to provide the water. Okay, to implement these schemes in the schools. What have government done so far? Since 2011, the Indian government has launched three initiatives. First one is the menstrual hygienic scheme provides sanitary pads to girls aged 12 to 9, 10 to 19 at the rate of 6 rupees for a pack of 6 napkins. In 2019, the government began distributing eco-friendly and biodegradable pads at a subsidized rate under the Subidha scheme. Data show that 2021-22 over 11,128 lakh pads were distributed. Another initiative, the Rashtriya Kishore Shakti Karyakram, focuses on promoting sexual and reproductive awareness of all adolescents. At the state level, the government of Kerala, Maharashtra, Odisha, Rajasthan, and Sikkim, among other regions, have launched varied schemes to distribute subsidized sanitary napkins, thus making them accessible and affordable to girls who may otherwise be hindered by knowledge gap or patriarchal norms. Union government in 2013 issued guidelines for setting up mini incinerators in schools to burn sanitary waste. However, they are concerned about emission from burning disposable pad made of plastic and polymer products. In 2012, Kerala had banned such mini incinerators as they were of single chamber working in low temperature and not complying with government norms. What about implementation? Experts note that the implementation of schemes remains a challenge due to poor product quality, irregular supply, lack of funds, and prevailing stigma. While the Jharkhand government distributed sanitary pads and iron tablets, the situation remained the same. Affordability is a barrier. The latest National Family Health Survey data show at least 30% of girls were using unhygienic methods of protection, including cloth, makeshift sanitary pads, dried leaves, newspaper, or nothing at all. An analysis of the data found that rural Indian adolescent women with a higher education from general category with medium mass media exposure and from the richest wealth quintile were most likely to use hygienic methods exclusively. Others are not using this hygienic method. Uses also differ along caste lines. The use of hygienic methods is lower among the girls from scheduled caste and scheduled tribe than those belonging to the other castes. Okay. So, National Family Health Survey, five findings. 39.3% girls use cloth and 15.2% use local produced napkins. We have 59.7% of the lowest percentage of girls using the hygienic method, followed by Madhya Pradesh 61% and Meghalaya 65%. Girls with higher than the secondary level of education are more than twice as likely to be using hygienic method than girls without any educational level. That means what the girls become educated, so they are more using this hygienic method than the uneducated girls. Expert also noted that nodal teachers are unwilling to carry sanitary pads to school. Once taken, the pads are kept in a store and rarely distributed among girls. Quality of pad also has come issues. Girls who come from better socioeconomic conditions end up buying market-based products than collecting these available and subsidized by the government. In 2016, analysis of the menstrual hygiene scheme in North India found only 30% of the girls use sanitary napkin due to irregular supply. It has been also found that despite Karnataka government's Swachh scheme, most schools neither had functional toilet with water nor dustbins. Awareness program face administrative challenges too. In Jharkhand, male teachers are usually nominated for health education, but their capacity to deal with the condition is limited. Their sensitivity to the issue, cultural barriers in engaging with adolescent girls, and absence of proper information education, communication are some major bottlenecks. COVID-19 pandemic and subsequent school closure further restricted access to affordable sanitary napkin by the children. Most states cease insurance scheme due to lack of funds. Outside of schools, people are unable to afford sanitary napkins sold by private pharmacies because of the cost. Although government has a plan to provide it at subsidized rate, but that is provided only to the school children. But for the common people, those are not accessing education. It's not possible on their part to get the benefit. Right? Okay. So, the COVID-19 pandemic and subsequent school closure further restricted access to affordable sanitary napkin. Most states ceased menstrual scheme due to lack of funds. Outside of schools, people are unable to afford sanitary napkins sold by private pharmacies. According to an expert, current programs focus on able-bodied girl students, overlooking non-binary, gender non-conforming folk, trans men who also menstruate. Other with disability may also be sidelined. आज limited mobility, cognitive capacity, and self-care pose even greater challenges. Our menstrual facility and awareness linked to education access. In April 2021, the Karnataka High Court instructed government to empower young men, women, and young girls provide menstrual facility. This will not only lead to empowerment of the girl child but also implementation of the fundamental right under Article 21A, right to education. Because if she is provided all adequate facilities, the school will be able to feel free to go to the school. In the absence of those facilities, she will be reluctant to go to the school. Girls' enrollment in school reduces at the secondary level, education level due to varied factors, with that Minister that MMH being one, this menstrual hygienic model, okay, being one. 23% of the girls in India drop out of school due to lack of menstrual products, inadequate washroom, and absent disposal facility, according to an estimate by the United Nations Water Supply and Sanitation Collaborative Council. Knowledge gap are also an issue. Almost 71% of the adolescent girls are unaware of menstrual until they get their first period. A study by the UNICEF found they are not aware about this, not education in this light. Even when adolescent girls attend school, absent menstrual infrastructure results in irregular attendance. The latest annual status of education report found that in Bihar, girls school students have low attendance because of 36.7% of the primary and upper primary school did not have separate toilets. In 2022, paper estimate 1 in 5 girls drop out of school after their period started, and 70.5% of the people miss schools and work days due to periods. In 2018, that 60% of adolescent girls skip school while on their periods. A key concern was anxiety around staining their uniform since most use homemade pads. The lack of clean toilet, running water, and disposal system further deterred attendance. Sanitary napkins were incinerators buried in the ground or flushed in the toilet due to improper waste management. Lack of awareness, other reports suggest. Alternative, when school provided menstrual products, improved sanitation facility, and launched awareness program, the proportion of girls reporting anxiety about their period decreased from 58.6% to 34%, with an uprising attendance rate. Under Chhattisgarh Pavana, a community-led program focusing on awareness, sanitary napkin use increased from 40% to 70% within a year in 2022. Activists also note that governments should move towards eco-friendly products and allow students to choose between sanitary napkins, tampons, and menstrual cups. Okay, they should select and as suitable they should use it. From the policy statement, experts identified the need for more female teachers at school, regular assessment of pad quality, proper implementation of the scheme, and capacity building on health education. Functional toilets at schools are very important and a starting point of menstrual hygienic management. So, minimum is the water supply, functional toilets at which the school, so proper hygienic conditions can be maintained. Okay, in the school, so that we encourage the students to not to miss their school. Okay, then an estimate show that in India can advance its GDP by 2.7% by positive addressing period poverty, as it can improve girls and women's health, education, well-being, and economic independence. So that is what. So even it is related to the link to the GDP growth of a country, because part of the population who are women or female must be huge or must be part empowered through this mechanism. And the next is very topic in a constitutional topic, 50 years of the Keswananda Bharati case. Keswananda Bharati case, where the Supreme Court bench gave a ruling about the basic features of the basic structure of the constitution. Is very important and milestone judgment by the Supreme Court. Okay, so in Indian judicial history, fine. But the issue is the seminal ruling in Kesavanda Bharati, in which the Supreme Court laid down the basic structure doctrine, the limit of Parliament's power to amend the Constitution, completed 50 years on 23rd April 2023. Okay, over the decade, so 5 decades back, okay, that means in 1773, judgment was given by the basic structure of the Constitution. Over the decades, the basic structure doctrine has been by diluting the principle of separation of power and undermining the sovereignty of Parliament as a vague and subjective form of judicial review. A scrutiny telling pattern, although the highest court have invoked basic structures sparingly, it has mostly struck down amendment where judicial power have been curtailed. Consider, since 1973, the year of Kesavanda Bharati judgment, the constitution has been amended more than 60 times. In these 5 decades, Supreme Court has tested constitutional amendment against the doctrine of basic structure in at least 16 cases. 60 amendments and 16 cases they have been tried. This is a judgment. Okay, fundamental rights can be amended. Supreme Court reverse Goloknath case verdict. Okay, so the judgment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is a judgment. So the Chief Justice. Okay, SM Sikri was Chief Justice. So 7 judges gave the in favor and 6 against. 13 judgments. This is another one. In 9 of these 16 cases, Supreme Court has upheld constitutional amendment that have been challenged on ground of violation of the basic structure doctrine. Basic structure doctrine. 6 of these cases relate to reservations, including the quota for other backward classes and economically weaker section, and reservation in promotion. The Supreme Court has struck down a constitutional amendment entirely just once. The Constitution 99th Amendment Act 2014 established the National Judicial Appointment Commission (NJSC), the body that would have been responsible for the appointment and transfer of judges to higher judiciary, including High Court and Supreme Court, replacing the current collegium system, which make recommendation for the judges had been challenged, and the National Judicial Appointment Commission Act passed by the Parliament was challenged by the Supreme Court and declared unconstitutional for violating uh, the 5 judge constitutional bench in 2015 on the ground that it threatened judicial independence. So this particular act passed by the Parliament, which Act, National Judicial Appointment Commission Act, was put to judicial review by the Supreme Court, and they declared unconstitutional or null and void on ground that it threatened judicial independence, which the court ruled was the basic feature of the Constitution. So, an act passed the Parliament regarding the creation of the National Judicial Appointment Commission to replace the presently operating collegium system was declared unconstitutional. So, okay, so it has overruled the Parliamentary Act, was overruled by judiciary on ground that it threatened judicial independence. In the 6 instances since 1973, including the Kasaranda ruling itself, the Supreme Court has partially struck down a constitutional amendment. In all these cases, the provision that was struck down related to the denial of judicial review. Just one of these 6 ruling involved an amendment that was not made during the Indira Gandhi era in Kyoto Holohan, which dealt with a 10th schedule. So let's discuss what this Holohan case. Okay, Kyoto Hiluan versus the Jachil and others. The Supreme Court upheld the constitutional 52nd Amendment that was introduced 10th schedule, the so-called anti-defection law of changing party alliance in the Constitution. The only portion of the amendment that was struck down was the one that states that the decision of the Speaker relating to disqualification cannot be judicially reviewed. So, right now it has been added that this can be subject to judicial review. Okay. In 2021, a three-judge bench of the court struck down a portion of the Constitution 97th Amendment Act 2011, but on procedural, not basic structure ground. The amendment changed the regal regime for cooperative society, and the court ruled that Cooperative societies with a state within a state as opposed to interstate would fall under the state list, which means that a constitutional amendment relating to it must be ratified by half the states as prescribed in the constitution. Union of India versus Rajendra Nath Shah in 2021. Keshavananda Bharati, Sripada Bhalvaru, and versus state of Kerala in 73. The court upheld the land ceiling law that was challenged. It struck down a portion of the 25th Amendment, which states that if any law is passed to give effect to the treaty principle, it cannot be deemed to be void on the ground that it takes away or abridges any of the rights contained in Article 14, 19, and 31. Okay, that is how it was changed in the Keshavananda Bharati case. Indira Gandhi versus Rajanarayan case in 1975, the Supreme Court applied the principle laid down the Keshavananda Bharati ruling. For the first time in the case, it struck down the Constitution 39th Amendment Act 1975, which banned the Supreme Court from hearing a challenge to the election of President, Prime Minister, Vice President, and Speaker of Lok Sabha. Okay. The Minerva Mill case versus Union of India, the Supreme Court struck down a clause inserted in Article 368 which give the power and lay down the procedure to amend the Constitution, which said there shall be no limitation whatever on the constituent power of Parliament to amend any way of addition, variation, or repeal to provisions of this Constitution. P. Shambhamurthy versus State of Andhra Pradesh, the Supreme Court struck down a portion of the 32nd Amendment Act 1973, which constituted an administrative tribunal for Andhra Pradesh for service matters, taking away the jurisdiction of the High Court. Okay. Then the L. Chandra Kumar versus Union of India case 1997, the top court struck down a portion of the 42nd Amendment, which set up administrative tribunals, excluding judicial review by the High Court. So all these are by applying the Keshavananda Bharati case judgment. Okay, that means so since the judgment is given in 73, so this judgment became a yardstick or the parameter to give a judgment by subsequent court in the subsequent period. And as the Keshavan Bharati case completed 50 years, so its relevance is still much more in Indian parliamentary system and to maintain the balance between the judiciary and the legislature. Okay, so here it has given the judiciary enormous power. Okay, over the legislature. Fine. Then the next topic is about the fertilizer used in India. Okay, so India is a country where the fertilizer consumption is an increasing trend, and one particular fertilizer, urea, or nitrogenous fertilizer, is most used. Okay, so to control it, none of the measures introduced by the government have succeeded in reducing urea consumption. Urea is a nitrogenous fertilizer used by the farmers in India. However, the government initiative to curb consumption in 2015, the center made it mandatory to coat all indigenously manufactured and imported urea with neem oil. Okay, so neem coated urea because urea was earlier used diverted from agriculture to other use, so that's why government decided to coat neem with all the urea. Okay, with neem oil. So this was followed by replacing 50 kg bag with 45 kg one in 2018. Liquid nano urea was launched by the Indian Farmers Fertilizer Corporation in 2021. Trend in urea consumption. Sale of urea crossed a record of 35.7 million tons in the fiscal year ending 31st March 2023. Consumption did dip in the initial 2 years after neem coating was fully enforced from 2015 because it was seemingly making it difficult for the heavily subsidized fertilizer to be used by the plywood factory, particle boards, textile dye, cattle feed, and synthetic milk makers. Misuse of urea in this domain. So the urea which is subsidized and to be used for agriculture is diverted for other chemical use like in plywood factory, the particle board, textile dye, cattle feed, and synthetic milk makers. It has been reduced right now. But subsequently, it has in initial 2 years, the use was, that the consumption was reduced, but subsequently it is again picking up. Okay, highest used fertilizer is urea, and the highest in the history since 2009-10 is in 2023 with 557.25 million metric ton being used. The trend differs from 2018-19. Urea sales in 2023 was about 5.1 metric ton higher than in 2015-16 and over 9 metric ton than the 2009-10 before the introduction of the nutrient-based subsidy scheme in 2010. All other fertilizers bearing single superphosphate (SSP) registered much lower increase or even decline except the urea. India is the second largest consumer and third largest producer of urea in the world. India consumes around 33 million tons of urea annually, of which almost 70% is domestically produced, the rest is imported from other countries. Nano urea liquids. Nano urea liquid is a nanotechnology based fertilizer to increase the growth of crop by restoring nitrogen to plant as an alternative to conventional urea. It enhances the nutritional quality and productivity of the crop along with improving the underground water quality. The Indian Farmers Fertilizer Corporation Limited (IFCO), a cooperative society, has developed and patented nano urea liquid technology. When sprayed on leaves, nano urea easily enters through stomata and other opening and is assimilated by the plant cell. It is easily distributed through the phloem from the source to sink inside the plant as per the need. Unutilized nitrogen is stored in the plant vacuously and is slowly released for proper growth and development of the plant. The One Nation One Fertilizer Scheme. Another scheme, all fertilizer companies, state trading entities, fertilizer marketing entities will be required to use a single Bharat brand for fertilizer and logo under the Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Janaushadhi Parijojana. Okay, the manufacturing brand can only display their name, logo, and other information on the remaining one third space. So government this was trying to discourage chemical fertilizer use and their impacting it in general, and in particular to discourage use of urea fertilizer or the urea or the nitrogen fertilizer because it is not in the betterment of the products that it affect the soil quality, the water body and the pollution. Okay, that is what. Then the next topic is UDAN 5.0 scheme. So we all know UDAN, Uday Desh Ke Aam Naamrik. So this is a regional connectivity program. The Ministry of Rural Development, Civil Aviation has launched the fifth round of the connectivity scheme, Uday Desh Ki Aam Nagrik, to improve connectivity to rural and regional area of the country and attain last mile connectivity. Okay, so on accessible areas. Okay, the area which has not been accessible so have been included in it. Okay, India is the largest and diversified country with numerous remote and regional area in a desperate need of improved air connectivity. Okay, so to resolve this issue and make travel more affordable and available to general public, the government has launched a scheme known as the UDAN scheme, registration of the regional connectivity scheme, and which uh, through this more and more airports have been developed in unconnected areas. Okay, UDAN launched in 2016 and has completed four rounds of successful bidding, resulting in the operation of 361 routes and 59 airports, helicopters, and water aerodromes. The initiative has also resulted in the creation of over 10,000 direct and indirect jobs, as well as increasing tourism, trade, and economic development in the region. Recently, the Ministry of Civil Aviation launched the fifth round of UDAN called the UDAN 5.0 objective, linking new routes and bringing the air network closer to it. Goal of the operationalization, 1,000 routes and 550 additional airports, heliports, and water aerodrome areas. Okay, coming to the feature, the latest phase of the UDAN proposition category 2, 80 seats, and category 3, above 80% seat aircraft operations that can accommodate long distance and air passenger demand. The earlier stage length cap of 600 kilometer is lifted, and there are no distance restrictions between the flight's origin and destination. Earlier it was applicable to distance of 600 kilometers, but right now it has been changed without any specified that limitation on the length of the travel. Fine. The validity gap funds, financial assistance given by the government to make the route viable would be capped at 600 km uh, range length for every for both priority and non-priority sectors, up from 500 km usually. This will ensure that funds are used effectively and that are subdivisions and subordination is avoided. Only network and individual route proposals proposed by airlines will be considered. This will give more flexibility and choice to the airlines to design their network based on market demand and operational feasibility. Airline will be required to submit an action business plan after 2 months from the issuance of the letter of authorization, wherein they will submit their aircraft acquisition plan, availability of aircrafts, crew, slot, etc. at the time of the technical proposal. This will ensure faster operationalization of routes and avoid delay. The same route will not be awarded to a single airlines more than once, whether in different networks or same network. Exclusivity will be withdrawn if the average quarterly passenger load factor is higher than 75% for 4 continuous quarters to prevent exploitation of the monopoly on a route. This will prevent monopoly and ensure competition among airlines. This will also create more opportunity for other airlines to enter the market because there is a demand, so others will be encouraged to make an entry. 20% of the performance guarantee, which is an amount deposited by the airlines, the security for its performance will be encashed for each month of the day up to the fourth month to further incentivize quick operationalization. Earlier, this deadline was 6 months. Then the innovation process per route from one operator to another is simplified and incentivized, and innovation is the process where the airline can transfer its rights and obligation onto the route to another airline with minimum expenditure by mutual consent. Okay, so through mutual consent the route and the aircrafts can be exchanged between two air operators. Then come to the question, discuss the application of emerging artificial intelligence and help in saving the environment from various threats. Just look at what is AI is. Artificial intelligence is human when into the brain, which is artificially designed, and the key is given to the people. Okay. Okay. So coming to the answer discussion and answer writing discussion, discuss the application of emerging AI, artificial intelligence that can help in saving the environment from various threats. What is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machine that are programmed to think like humans and mimic their action. Read it again. AI refers to simulation of human intelligence in machine that are programmed to think like humans and mimic their action. AI has the potential to accelerate global effort to protect the environment and conserve resource through various applications, according to a study conducted by Microsoft. AI applications in the sector of agriculture, water, energy, and transport could lead to 4% cut in greenhouse gas emission by 2030. Application of artificial intelligence technology in saving the environment from various threats, curbing deforestation. Okay, deforestation and land use changes cause more than 10% of global greenhouse gas emission. For curbing illegal and land cleaning, a monitoring sensor is attached to tree that eavesdrops to the surrounding forest and transmit that radio in real time to the cloud. Almost 600 of these devices called Guardians have been installed in 35 countries. Reducing carbon footprints, materials such as steel and cement are important component in construction, but they are also heavy CO2 emitters, carbon emitters, or carbon dioxide emitters. And big part of this share comes from the mining and transportation of ingredients used in the production of process. To address this, AI tools can be used to reduce the amount of mined ingredients or alloy. Okay, cutting energy waste in building. Building are responsible for about 40% of the global energy consumption and about one third of global greenhouse gas emission. Cutting energy waste in building, an app called Neuron has been developed which uses 5G and Internet of Things sensors to gather real-time data from a building energy management system. Smart farming. Agriculture is vulnerable to climate change with unpredictable temperature, more frequent extreme weather events, and invasive pests, all posing a risk to crop yield. To address these concerns, a startup Evolution has developed an AI system that draw on data from solar-powered sensors monitoring the microclimate around crops. The device measures temperature, humidity, radiation, and soil moisture in the field and make recommendations about water and fertilizer needs. Tracking air quality, air purifier with AI can record air quality and environmental data in real time and adapt to filtration efficiency. Also, using data from vehicles, radar sensors, and cameras, AI can help improve air pollution. So, for example, UNEP has launched an international methane emission observatory which leverages AI to revolutionize the approach to monitoring and mitigating methane emission. And methane emission to the atmosphere is done by the paddy cultivation, especially waterlogged paddy fields, paddy fields as well as from the cattles. Okay. Okay. So smart farming. Okay. So agriculture is vulnerable to climate change with unpredictable temperature, more frequent extreme weather events, and invasive pests, all posing a risk to crop yield. To address these concerns, a startup agroevolution has developed an AI system that draw on data from solar-powered sensor monitoring the microclimate around the crop. The device measures temperature, humidity, radiation, and soil moisture in the field and make recommendations about water and fertilizer needs. Tracking air quality, air purifier with an AI can record air quality and environmental data in real time and adapt the filtration efficiency. Also, using data from vehicles, radar sensor and camera, AI can help improve air pollution. UNEP has launched International Methane Emission Observatory, which leverages AI to revolutionize the approach to monitoring and mitigating methane emission. AI can be used to fight poaching. Poaching can be a serious threat to many wild species, particularly those protected in wildlife reserves and national parks. Rhino species have become endangered as a result of poaching. To address this, AI-enabled bracelets have been developed that fits around rhino ankles to help conservation team locate the animal and monitor their behavior in real time. Artificial intelligence, as part of fourth industrial revolution, along with other technology such as robotics and Internet of Things, blockchain, 3D printing, genetic engineering, and quantum computing can help transform traditional sector and system to address climate changes. It can also help in achieving SDG and fulfill ambitious climate change targets. Fine. So coming to the MCQs, recently Subhidha scheme is in news. Consider the following statement with the reference to Subhidha. Under the scheme, 100% oxy biodegradable synthetic napkin has been distributed to government high schools and schools across the country. It is incorrect. The Minister of the Minister of Chemical Fertilizer. So it is not across the country. It's not 100% distribution has not been possible. Only so incorrect is one. With reference to Rashtra Kishore Satya Karyakram, so the scheme focus on age 10 to 19 in universal coverage, right? The program is limited to sexual and reproductive health is also right. So 1 and 2 both are correct. With reference to consider the following: Asia Pacific leaders Malaria Alliance committed to eliminate malaria in the region by 2030. World Malaria Day is an international observance commemorated every year on 25th of April. Okay, so both are correct. Okay, answer will be neither because non not correct means both being correct. So neither one or two is incorrect because both are correct. Then consider the following statement about Ude Desh Ki Aam Nagarik. It is an innovation scheme to develop the regional aviation market. So that is right. And it creates affordability yet economically viable and profitable flight on regional routes. It is also right. Both 1 and 2 are correct. With reference to chemical fertilizer in India, consider the following statement. At present, the retail price of chemical fertilizer market driven and not administered by the government. Ammonia, which is so okay, this is government administer the price of some fertilizers. Ammonia, which is an input of urea, is produced from natural gas. That is correct. Sulfur, which is the raw material for phosphoric and fertilizer, is byproduct of the oil refinery. That is also correct. 2 and 3 are correct. Then Operation Kabri. Operation Kabri is the evacuation of Indian national from Sudan. The civil war ravaged Sudan. Government has launched Operation Kabri to evacuate them, the Indians there. So Narendra Village Sanctuary is good. The term lockbit is a uh, ransomware. Then 9, which refers to the use of calcium carbide. Calcium carbide is commonly used in mining and industry. That is correct. It releases acetylene gas, which is used to artificially ripen fruits. Right. Use of calcium carbide is prohibited as per the provisions of Food Safety and Standard Regulation 2011. All the three are correct. 1, 2, 3. Answer is D. Consider the following statement with reference to Hello India schemes. Hello India scheme has been introduced to achieve sports culture in India at a grassroots level. It is the flagship centrally sponsored scheme of the Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports. So only one is correct. It is not a centrally sponsored scheme, it is a central sector scheme. Fine. So thank you for watching regularly. Keep on watching so to update yourself on a daily basis. Thank you.